It was Mother's Day in 2013. It was early evening when I learned about it, and the conversation started like this. Can I talk to you both? But first I want you to know how much I love you, and I can't imagine having any other parents. You've given me so much love. And the most important thing you've taught me is to love and accept everyone. But I have to tell you something. Alexis has been bullying me. Her favorite thing to do is to walk up to a group of kids and talk badly about our family. She demeans me because I have two moms. I don't want you to feel bad, but I just needed you both to know. Well, my heart sank and tears flowed rapidly. I was really angry with that child, but I also felt sorry for her. This was a girl who was once a friend to my daughter, and she was now making our daughter a target. You see, bullies feed off of vulnerability. Our daughter was the target, but she underestimated the power of love. So our daughter not only survived, but in the end she thrived. She gained the wisdom and deep insight that is often only afforded out of pain. You see, I had anticipated these situations many years earlier, and I wrote, deep insight. Deep insight is rarely born out of privilege. It comes from experiencing the pain caused by others or the misgivings of life. But listen closely and listen intently to the voices of those who cry out. They sit along the edges, outside the circle of privilege. But it's deep insight that they bring about how we can all be more human, more loving, and more giving. You see, deep insight is rarely born out of privilege. So who am I? Well, I am a mother. I'm a sister, a daughter, a wife, a friend, and an aunt. I'm the youngest of 15 children. Yes, that's 15. I'm number 15. I have 14 brothers and sisters. And as you look at this photo, at this point, 2 of my siblings had passed on. I have learned and I have experienced much, but it is love that stands out above all else. I had an amazing mother. My mother was Shelly McNamara, and she was a single mother from the time that I was 4, but she loved me and all of her children without condition and without labels. She simply loved. I am also mother to Allie. Allie is in the far left of the family photo there. Allie's creative. She's an optimistic problem solver with deep love for nature and a passion for the environment. She's in New York in graduate school studying experiential design. And then there's Kate. Kate and Nicole are twins. Kate is on the far right of that family photo. Kate is smart, she's kind, she's driven to make a meaningful difference in the world. Kate is studying political science and Hispanic studies. She's very funny as well. And then there's Nicole. Nicole's in the striped shirt in the family photo. She's our spontaneous and playful daughter. Smart, fun, and she's always questioning, why? Why not? But she sees possibilities in everything and everyone. I am also a life partner and wife to Cindy Marsland. Cindy's creative and funny, and she's just super smart. She's so very kind, actually the most gentle, kind soul that you'd ever meet. But for me, she is home to me. You know, our children have given us so many gifts over the years, but I want to share with you a few quotes from their younger days. Allie, at the age of 3, you know, she had these 2 new sisters that sort of dropped into her world. She was in a timeout chair, and she came walking out of her timeout chair, and she put her hands on her hips, and she said, "Mommy, I finally figured it out. You're the problem." And then there was another day, she was also in timeout for something else. She walked in, and she said, "Mommy, who made you the boss of me?" And I said, "God." And then there was Kate. She was introducing herself to our new babysitter, and she said, "Hi, I'm Kate," and she had this scraggly, kind of deep voice. She said, "I have 2 sisters, I have 2 mommies, and I have no daddy." Or once she was running into the room just a little stressed and a little panicked, and she said, "I need a mommy, any mommy, either mommy, I just need a mommy." I feel like that on some days, and I think maybe we all do. And then there was Nicole. We moved into a new house in Connecticut. She was about 5 years old. And she walked in one day and she's like, "Hey, I just want to know, are we like the only family in the world with 2 moms or what?" But at the age of 4, she was sitting there the year earlier and she said, "You know what I want? One day I want you," and she pointed to me and then she pointed to Cindy and said, "and you to get married so I can clap and clap and clap." And I have no idea where she came up with that. I am also an out business leader and corporate executive. I have the pleasure of working at P&G and have for almost 35 years. The fact that part of my identity is that I'm a lesbian, it makes me different than many. But I will tell you that it has given me deep insights, this part of my identity and this experience that it's given me. You know, we have people all around us who have been made to feel less than. And I believe that we have an obligation and a responsibility to reach out, to value, respect, and include all. Because here's what I know as a business leader and a human being. When people sit along the edges, we miss their wisdom. We miss their insight, their brilliance. We miss relationships, the opportunity to grow, the impact they can have on our lives, on our organizations, and our communities. And I know that we have unnecessary suffering and strife, both within and between human beings. My 35-year professional career, I can't believe I say that, 35, I still feel like I'm 20 some days, has been anchored in the development and the transformational aspects of human resources. But I am also a storyteller and a poet. I've been writing for many, many years. I write about all those things that make us human: love, loss, regret, and all of those experiences and feelings that we have as human beings. In my book and in my talks, I shine a light on those moments of intensity and insight, the ones that help us grow, be our best selves, be our best leader on that day. I use my writing stories to inspire change, to build bridges, and to expand our sense of humanity, our own humanity and the humanity around us. I write very personal stories, and yes, they're personal to me, but the universality of the lessons is what I share with you today. Because there are reasons why I share my stories. I've learned much about humanity, first my own humanity, and then our collective humanity. I have lived and I've documented those insights in stories and poems, and I have a hope. I hope that my journey helps you along your journey. I offer you the first declaration for today. Great leaders don't allow people to be treated as less than. They understand the need and the power of level setting. And so my next poem is titled Level Set. We are taught to see things and people as better than and less than, but why not different than? We have this need to level up and down. I win, you lose, or you win and I lose. One up, one down, always. But why not level set? Grant you the space to be you, and then I get to be me. We no longer need to make one better than, to make one less than. What will it take to level set? To see each other as different, but equally magnificent, and create space where everyone can shine. You know, we have people all around us who have been made to feel less than. We miss so much. I mentioned earlier, wisdom, insight, impact, relationships. And as business leaders, we risk underutilizing the great talent that's around us and missing your consumer or your customers. I offer you declaration number 2 for today. We have work to do before we all feel valued, supported, and respected. I'm going to offer you a few sobering statistics. There are more than 900 hate groups currently operating in the US alone. Muslims, Jews, people of color, and members of the LGBTQ+ community are some of the most targeted. 20 to 25% of people in the LGBTQ community experience a hate crime in their life. Think about that, 20 to 25% of us. And most of us in the LGBTQ community, as just one community, are closeted at work, and it's about half of us. Because most of us have experienced a level of rejection or judgment that has left us with deep emotional wounds. And I also know that every day there are thousands of teenagers asking themselves if life is worth living. LGBT youth are almost 5 times more likely to attempt suicide than heterosexual youth. So what can we do? And what are the lessons here for all of us as leaders and human beings? One I would offer you is I think we can start by encouraging authenticity. What does authentic mean? Authentic is about being genuine. It's about being original, as opposed to being a fake or a reproduction. It's about being trustworthy. When we live authentically, we show up as trustworthy. And living authentically was not something that came easy to me. I'm the youngest of 15 kids, as I mentioned, raised by a single mother. We lived a very modest life, but it was one that was filled with a lot of love. What I did is I pursued academic excellence as a way to gain independence, affirmation, and unconditional support. You know, I was never perfect, and I'm far from it today, but I pursued perfection relentlessly. And being gay was not a part of my plan. It didn't fit with the image of perfection or my desire to be the good girl and all those images I saw around me. So I struggled for years to reconcile who I was with the expectations and the negative narrative that I was surrounded by in media, with family, with friends, all around me. I wanted to be good and perfect. And all those images that I saw and heard from friends, family, religion, they told me that being gay was less than, which meant that I was less than. But I've grown a lot. I came to terms and I integrated that part of my identity. It's brought me more peace. It's brought me more calm, and it's put me on my path of life work and my path of family life. Like many LGBTQ people, I suffered under the judgment and misguided prejudice of others. This judgment kept authenticity at bay for me for part of my life. And that lack of authenticity cost me relationships and connections. I avoided my true self, and when I avoided my true self, I avoided others. You know, we have all been taught falsehoods about others that it is time to leave behind and to unlearn. It was July of 1997, and I was sitting across from my then new manager, Scott, and I was really nervous. After a long pause, I finally spoke. And I said, "Hey, Scott, I have some great news to share, but I also need your help. I'm going to be a mom in a few months. My partner, Cindy, is pregnant with our child, and I don't know how people in our business will react or behave towards me when they learn that I'm gay and I'm expecting a child." And without hesitation, without a blink of an eye, Scott said, "Congratulations." And this was 1997. There's no greater joy or honor than being a parent. And on that other thing, if anyone gives you any problems, I'll take care of it. You have my full support. So for me, in 1997, that was the moment I was instantly out of the corporate closet. I was relieved. That energy I had been using to hide was now free to innovate and free to be me. But I was a little afraid. I felt free. I felt pride. Cindy and I had made the choice to live free and open. And it was a really important timing moment for me because at the edge of becoming a parent, what I said out loud is, I do not want shame to become a part of my character or my feelings about self or the legacy that we leave our children. I chose and we chose to be authentic and to live authentically. And what Scott chose, he chose to be visible. He chose to be vocal. Declaration number 3 for today. Activists, allies, and champions can change the world, one life at a time. And so I ask you to reflect, how can you be an ally for someone who's different than you? Cindy and I had our first daughter, Allie, a few months later. Allie's in the center of that photo in October of 1997. The love between a mother and a child, a parent and a child, it's a unique love. It's a special love. Years later, this little girl would have the opportunity, when she heard me share my story, when I was at an event, a P&G event in Costa Rica, and she said, "Mama, I am so proud of you." In 2000, our twins arrived. Kate and Nicole were born. I carried them. I'm 5'1". It was a little rough, but they're here. And at this point, 2 of my 3 daughters could receive health care benefits. In 2001, P&G made some policy changes that gave my family the benefits and the security of things like health care and life insurance. These were things that my straight colleagues had taken for granted. Any and all of you on this call today that were a part of that change, I thank you deeply. These were the warriors of change ahead of me. These changes and others, they happened because of courageous people who stepped forward and said, "This is not right." And these shifts improved my life and my family's life. So I'm deeply indebted to the early warriors of equality and change. And I stand on their shoulders. I stand on some of your shoulders. And I know some of you are on the call today. In 2003, I resigned from P&G. I was in my 18th year with the company. Spoiler alert, I did come back. I left because at that time, 2 people of the same gender couldn't be legal parents of a child. I decided, and Cindy and I decided together, we no longer wanted to live with the uncertainty that haunted us by the fact that our 3 children were not legally connected to both of us. I certainly couldn't go on the international assignments that P&G wanted me to go on. Cindy carried Allie, and I carried our twins, Kate and Nicole. This picture what you're looking at here, this is the day that Cindy and I became legal parents of our own children. On this day, I officially gave up my legal rights to Kate and Nicole. At the top of a piece of paper, I signed away my legal rights to those two children so that Cindy and I could adopt them at the bottom of that same legal document. And then Cindy gave up her rights to Allie on the top of a different legal document so that Cindy and I could adopt Allie. As Allie's birth mother, she needed to do that. Life happens in little moments and decisions, and it became clear for us that authenticity demands choice. It is through our choices that we live out our purpose and our beliefs. And I wrote a poem titled Making Choices. When I make choices that are consistent with who I am, what I bring, and why I'm here, I live more fully, and I get to live more freely. And then I'm able to accept your choices, who you are, what you bring, and why you're here. Being more fully me allows you to be more fully you. And then we not only coexist, but we co-create. You know, when we choose to judge less and love more, I think anything's possible. And I'm going to encourage all of you today to choose love. What does it cost you? It feels better. But I believe it's love that connects all of us. We chose to move to a state where we could adopt our own children. And this led me to resign from P&G. When you live on the edges as members of communities that are granted less status or privilege, you have unique experiences and moments. You know, the system isn't fair or equitable to those along the edges unless we intervene to make it so. In 2005, there was another meaningful validation. Cindy's then 86-year-old mother, she was the first person to ever introduce me properly. At a family wedding, she said to a neighbor, "This is my daughter-in-law, Shelly." In 2005, Cindy and I couldn't legally marry. But Alice didn't need a law to properly define our relationship because I was her daughter-in-law to her. The courts and the laws would catch up to Alice, but she challenged all of us to do something really important. No blanks, no pauses, and I wrote this in her honor. We don't usually get the privilege of a title or label that includes and embraces us. No, we get the pause and the blanks. This is Cindy and Shelly. It's the kind of pause that forces the listener to wonder who I am and how I fit in. But the realization usually settles in as they see me with my partner and kids. But that all changed one rainy day in May when sweet, loving 86-year-old Alice introduced me to a neighbor. "This is my daughter-in-law, Shelly." No blanks, no pauses, just love, genuine acknowledgement of who I was to her. No blanks, no pauses. In 2014, we were actually able to get married, and we did that on the deck of the Red Inn in Provincetown, Massachusetts. It was just the 5 of us. In addition to a great mother-in-law, I've been really fortunate to have work and a company that validates me. It's the combination of personal and professional experiences that have prepared me to do the job that I do today. It's a privilege to be the Chief Equality and Inclusion Officer at P&G, a privilege. This work fulfills my life dream, but it fulfills what feels like my inner purpose. Because we are advancing equality and inclusion at P&G by making meaningful impact. And we're doing that for our employees, we do work. We do it through our brands, with our partners, and in our communities. We are committed to be a force for good and for growth. It's my privilege to work with our Global Leadership Council and many colleagues across the company to bring this aspiration to life. And I share with you the aspiration that guides us. This is what we want to do. We want to create a company in a world where equality and inclusion is achievable for all of us, where we have access, equal access and opportunity so that we can all learn, grow, succeed, and thrive. We made a clear choice at P&G. We want to be the most innovative, diverse, and inclusive company in the world, and those 3 words are connected. Innovation demands diversity of thought, experiences, and people. In the fall of 2020, we launched an evolved E&I strategy. Here are a few excerpts from the direction and messaging that we shared with our top 200 P&G executives at our year-end meetings. You can see the words. This is what we're encouraging our leadership at P&G to do today. Staff and develop a diverse and thoughtful team. Embrace, there's the word, authenticity. Expand access and opportunity. And build E&I into your business because consumers are diverse. And then hold yourself accountable for results. Declaration number 5, the final one, embrace the fullness of humanity. Your consumers and your customers are eagerly awaiting your embrace. Inclusive leadership does help us inspire and receive the most from our most essential assets at P&G, and that's our employees. I know they're waiting for all of us to embrace and support the fullness of their humanity. I shared with you the words, no blanks, no pauses. I liked it so much I wrote a book and I titled it. Thank you for listening. No blanks, no pauses for anyone. Thank you so much.